Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a viewer request topic and looking into where do your gifts and spiritual abilities come from. So thank you to the subscriber who recommended this topic. And before we get started, I wanted to add a little bit of clarification on sort of what's going to be touched on in this reading. I was actually talking with someone the other day about this, the idea of ancestry in terms of both our biological ancestors, people that we're related to, people from our lineage, and ancestors of our soul as well. This can have very little to do with our biological heritage. This can even relate to lifetimes that we have spent outside of the earth realm. So in different dimensions, different planes of existence, different worlds altogether in terms of if you resonate as a starseed, this can be your galactic heritage. So I'm going to be taking a look at all of that today and seeing kind of what gifts or spiritual abilities want to kind of be discussed, want to be made known. These can be things that you're already aware of, maybe some things that are starting to activate or surface for you, come to your awareness, or that are soon going to start to come online or to be enhanced. And kind of looking at, where does this originate from? Is this something from your father's side of the family? Is this something from your mother's side of the family? Or is this something maybe with off-world origins, something to do with your soul, even in other incarnations here on the earth plane? So with that in mind, there are three groups to choose from. Group one is the Celstite. Group two is the Carnelian. And group three is the Amethyst. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Celstite. So let me get some tarot and oracle cards to get kind of an idea of some gifts or spiritual abilities that want to be made known or discussed in this reading, and some clues about the origin of these things. What type of ancestry does this come from? Is this biological ancestors? Is this ancestors of the soul? Okay, so we have the Five of Swords, the World, Six of Swords, Seven of Swords, Judgment, Eight of Pentacles, relaxation, peaceful pursuits, happy times, sensitivity and strength, tapping the forces within, wings of light, becoming something new, death and rebirth, darkness to light, Orion activation, supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirthed by light, and Hathor light codes, light immersion, full system upgrade, power recall. So with all of this swords energy, this is definitely tying into some kind of gift that you have in terms of perception. This can relate to kind of an enhanced ability of empathy, to sense the energy beyond words that are spoken, to perceive the energy of circumstances, of environments, to sense energies around you that might not be so apparent to the naked eye. This can tie into a sensitivity to spirits, spirits of the departed, spirits in terms of even elementals. So spirits of nature, spirits of the elements that did not necessarily ever have physical form and have only existed in the realm of the immaterial, and yet at the same time have an active role and an involvement with the physical plane. With this swords energy as well, this can really tie into some abilities as far as telepathy is concerned. The ability to transfer healing energy remotely to others. kind of this being this bridge where time and space is irrelevant, and you are able to, again, send those intentions or even perceive and receive the intentions of others, to be able to be acutely aware of maybe what's going on with people that you share a strong soul connection with. This can be people in your family or people in your soul family. Very much tied into that, not so much a general collective, but this feels like a very specific collective of individuals, your tribe, your soul family, people that you've incarnated with across the span of lifetimes, some of whom you have met in this incarnation, some of whom you will meet in the future, others who you will not cross paths with physically in this lifetime. Nevertheless, at the soul level, you and these individuals are bonded. This can also tie into soul family that you are aware of and able to communicate with outside of members of that soul tribe that have chosen to physically incarnate in this lifetime, but members of that tribe who have remained in spirit, who are choosing to support kind of the goals, the mission or the work of this particular kind of subset of a larger collective from that spiritual vantage point. Being almost that that source of almost like a spiritual battery that is kind of feeding in from the higher realms, these frequencies or these light codes from kind of these, it feels like off-world points of origin with all these kind of stars here. You may resonate as a star seed, so this can be members of your collective, your off-world collective, or even kind of your interdimensional collective as well, with this idea of a portal here, not necessarily something out there, but something kind of like deeply within or on kind of this other layer of reality concurrent to our physical world. And again, this communion that you are able to have with these souls, these individuals who have chosen to remain in spirit, to kind of be that that beacon, that antenna that reaches a little further than you as a physically incarnate being, and others that are physically incarnate at this time on the earth plane that are part of this soul tribe, that all of you are able to access that. It's almost the idea of an antenna versus a satellite dish, and that some of these members of your soul tribe who are in spirit are that satellite dish, kind of beaming that signal down, receiving that signal from kind of the outer reaches or the depths even of the galaxy, and transferring that down to you, to these antennas here on the earth plane, and this ability that you have to tap into that. You may be considering exploring or already are involved in some form of channeling as well. You may have some kind of platform for this, some kind of social media presence where you are, you're channeling, you're delivering information for the collective, for others. You may be, a tarot reader or a psychic. In some way, if you're not involved in that, it feels that this energy that you are able to again channel maybe involves something of an artistic nature. In some way, this influences your work. In some way, you may also just be a very healing presence in the lives of others. The words that you speak, the energy that you hold, it provides a lot of answers for people with that idea of this deep empathy that you may have. It may be heightening at this point in time, that this is something where even just your innate energetic presence, it really helps to bring people a sense of peace. Even just the way in which you hold space for others. You may be a light in the darkness for people as well, with this idea of wings of light, death and rebirth, with that scorpionic energy, and also judgment here. More of that scorpionic energy, kind of this idea of the phoenix rising from the ashes, that in some way the space that you hold energetically, what is transferred energetically to others through your dealings with them, or what you are channeling directly, again, through your ability to commune with these higher realms, with kind of the outer reaches of reality as it is commonly known, kind of the messages that you get, or the way in which you are able to really read and decipher energy and carry that forth, that it's a beacon for others. It gives others this sense of hope. You help others to kind of navigate through their own sort of process of rebirth, to tap into that fire within themselves in order to rise beyond their circumstances, to rise beyond their own kind of perceptions of limitation within self, to help people recognize that there is strength and vulnerability, that wounds don't always have to be something which can break an individual or limit them, but to take these elements of these circumstances and transmute that somehow, to work with the tools that one has, gifts within oneself, and kind of how to sort of apply that to the raw materials of the environment or personal experience, to turn these situations and these circumstances into sources of empowerment. It feels that these gifts and this ability that you have, this is something your soul has embarked upon for lifetimes, both on the earth realm, and it feels like a lot of work kind of in other worlds. You may have a strong affinity with the constellation of Orion, the Orion collective. That can be a point of resonance for you. This can be kind of this idea of a bridge as well, with the 3 stars that make up Orion's belt. This almost brings forth the idea of some kind of off-world point, or some kind of like dimensional depth, where what you are doing in a physical sense, you're tapping into some kind of other intermediary, who then from their vantage point, kind of in this realm of spirit, is tapping into still that further kind of closer to source, closer to that other kind of facet or factor or point of origin where this energy is coming from. Portals might be extremely significant to you. Eclipses, this eclipse season that we have coming up might be very significant, along with the 1010 portal, which this is a timeless reading. So if you're watching this outside of kind of the bounds of that, these messages can still apply. You can just kind of take this as it resonates. Every month there is, a portal that aligns with the conjunction of whatever the number of that month is in the corresponding day. There are obviously significant portals. Equinoxes are portals. We have the Lionsgate portal is very significant. Again, the 1010 portal, the 1111 portal coming up in November might also be very significant for you. Again, this idea of equinoxes, solstices, eclipses, these periods of kind of the meeting of the light and shadow, that equilibrium where things come into alignment, things come into balance, that these might all be these unique times that affect you very profoundly. You might be deeply affected by lunar cycles as well. New moons and full moons, these being kind of these crossroads points of beginnings and things that are wanting to fall away, and that all of this strongly affecting you, and being, again, this idea of these portals or these doorways that you are able to then kind of tap into. You're able to kind of receive that information. You're receiving these light codes or these downloads at that point in time. So again, a strong energy here of what wants to come up in this reading, these gifts that you have, these abilities that you have, maybe something with the Eight of Pentacles that you're doing for work, something to do with healing, perhaps even being a Reiki healer, an energy healer, a quantum energy healer, I'm hearing. So something, beyond kind of the idea of Reiki, which is a particular frequency of energy which people are attuned to, and then that is kind of transferred or kind of introduced It's an invitation that the practitioner then provides to kind of the oversoul or the higher self via the vessel of kind of the energetic body of the person, you know, the person who has come to them for healing, the querent, and quantum healing kind of being this next level or next layer to that, where it directly seeks to tap into kind of these higher chakras. It can be something which can be utilized even to kind of bypass the idea of linear time. It can be used in kind of a spiral fashion where the intention is set to kind of heal wounds, both that have occurred even in previous lifetimes and have been kind of carried over, as well as things kind of in the multiple layers of the reality of self and kind of all the aspects of us that exist, the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, you know, on and on and on, and kind of directing that then into the future so that preemptive sort of strike of the healing, so that when those kind of junctures in time are reached, it's like you already have that package of healing waiting for you to kind of make that journey a little bit deeper, a little bit easier. To kind of implement that healing ahead of time. So that might resonate with some of you, or it could be something you might want to investigate, this idea of quantum healing and kind of what that looks like, to give you a deeper appreciation of sort of what is taking place when you connect with, again, this very much either like a deeply interdimensional and or a deeply off-world presence. This can also really tie into kind of these gifts, and the point of origin can be from your deep soul past, that your soul is very ancient and has lived in a variety of types and manners of existence. You've occupied both the biological male and the biological female body. You've occupied this space of otherness. You've had a lot of lessons through difficulties, and in that have been able to kind of sort of transcend in a way. And it's this invitation then to kind of look at yourself beyond kind of the limits and perceptions of how you identify yourself as an individual, that, you know, these gifts are something which has been fashioned. It is something which has been honed across the span of time. I'm also really drawn with this idea of Hathor and this feather here. This is reminding me in kind of the tradition of in the Egyptian pantheon, you know, the traditional beliefs of Kemet, ancient Egypt, and this idea of, you know, at the end of a lifetime, at that kind of that crossroads between death and the beyond, where the heart is weighed alongside a feather, and you know, if the heart is at ease, if the heart is at peace with the life that has been led, with the journey that it has taken up to that point in time. And then it comes where, you know, the feather then outweighs the heart, then kind of the soul progresses on, the soul kind of takes another journey, versus kind of the other side of that. If the heart is heavy, if the heart is burdened, then it's this idea of a certain kind of transcendence to the next level, that there's still more preparation that needs to be done. There's still more transmutation. It's almost like going back into that kind of cauldron of rebirth in order to, you know, take on a different kind of form, to sort of readdress these same kind of topics and issues, always coming back to that same kind of crossroads point of, you know, what is burdensome, what is carried forth, and how that can kind of weigh us down and keep us in this kind of perpetual cycle of kind of life, death, and rebirth, almost that we are limiting ourselves, we are keeping ourselves captive in that cycle because of the things that we are unable to kind of come to terms with, even some of the shadow or soul work, some of that healing work that we defer lifetime after lifetime. So you may have a strong connection with Egypt. That might be something where you already resonate with that. Perhaps that's already part of your lineage or your biological heritage, or you resonate strongly with that idea, that time period, those beliefs, those deities, those practices. You already resonate with that at a soul level. And so that's, it's coming in strongly as well. Egyptian society, they were deeply kind of tied in with Orion as well. The Great Pyramids aligning with those three stars in Orion's belt. So another confirmation of that. Again, kind of this idea of sort of these gifts originating from the deep and ancient past, where little is kind of known about that in the common era, or there's certain beliefs about that and certain interpretations, but it's really it just kind of barely scratches the surface of the depth and the nature of what was kind of practiced in that sort of relationship. So definitely a lot of starseed origins here in terms of the kind of the nature of these gifts and where they come from. And it's the idea as well that in this lifetime, you're almost bringing something from the ancient past into this modern reality to kind of take your work a step further, to labor more at that concept of, at the end of this lifetime, how does your heart feel? Do you carry this heaviness within? This invitation to close out cycles as well in this lifetime, to sort of alleviate from yourself that sense of burden so that you are able to more effectively progress onto whatever is next. Kind of this idea of ascension, of returning home as well, that there are certain activations that are taking place in these gifts within you. It is part of that process of alleviating that burden within self, doing what you can for others, even just in a very simple capacity of holding that energetic space for others to kind of navigate their own kind of light and shadow, to transcend that, to find that place of peace and acceptance with where they are, that balance and that duality between the sensitivity and strength, to become that light in their own darkness, to become something new, to take the circumstances they've been given, the feelings and the sensation, maybe even some of these gifts that could be considered kind of strange or unusual, and through your work of channeling, expressing these things, talking about these things, representing these things in art or in writing, for example, it helps to create this sense of affinity for others. It calls this tribe home. It calls the missing pieces home. It gives others a sense of recognition and a feeling that they are not alone in this, and that can be something, again, that you do just as kind of on a service basis, to be of service to others. This can be something that can be kind of turned into a source of income for yourself, a business, a spiritually based business, and guidance here as well, that the nature of these gifts, you are definitely a bridge or a conduit, and that these things have been kind of fashioned and honed within you across the span of lifetimes, both on earth and in kind of otherworldly origins. It feels like a lot of the time you may have spent would have been kind of in other dimensions or realms. It feels you may not, you may have kind of a hard time with modern life, modern reality. It feels that a lot of the more recent earthly incarnations could have been in this kind of distant past. And so it's been sort of this process to, really acclimate with the times, really fit in with that, really find your place in society, really, maybe things that don't resonate with the goals and dreams and aspirations, the methods of doing things, even kind of the nature of the interests that you have, the things that fascinate you, the things that you focus on could be quite different from those around you, or different from just kind of the common trends or sort of common beliefs. But that this is something you're encouraged to lean into. You have these kind of inspirations and aspirations for a reason. You again are anchoring some kind of a light. You're this antenna for a larger satellite for kind of this source material that is coming in, this source energy. So definitely what's being activated and strengthened with you, a lot of downloads coming, a lot of maybe ascension symptoms that you're having now, or sort of in these upcoming portals, or even just to keep in mind around specific portal points that I had brought up, to be very cognizant of that, mindful of that, to just go with the flow of that, be at peace with these things and these changes as much as possible, knowing that kind of there's something greater at play here. There's something that your physical body and your physical mind is unable to necessarily comprehend, that is happening to you at an energetic level. It's an enhancement of these gifts, that there's a greater purpose to that ties into some kind of work your soul has wanted to do. You've made the choice to come onto the earth realm again at this point in time. relaxing into that, relaxing into the mystery, into this unknowing, trusting in that process and kind of the growing pains of, this death and rebirth process as one version of yourself falls away and you are almost enhanced or activated. New things are coming online or are strengthening for you. That just by even leaning into this, you are actively breaking kind of these cycles, or, even this fear that people may have surrounding these gifts, surrounding these things, even a degree of uncertainty or fear within yourself, not really knowing what is going on, and being encouraged to sort of trust in that process, that you're growing wings, and that might be very uncomfortable. That process of ascension, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. There's some deep shadow work. There's some deep levels of self-deception that we need to face. It's not always easy to look in the mirror, but kind of this guidance, that the shadow work that you are doing, this process of coming to a deep awareness of self, coming to terms with self, alleviating that burden upon your heart, so that when it is weighed at the end of your life next to a feather, the feather is the heavier object, the heavier item, because you have come to terms with the things that may have haunted you, that you've secreted away, that you've hidden away, that you've been made to feel guilty or to feel shame about, to work through these things, to find that bridge, to create that kind of peace of mind for yourself. It not only fulfills a purpose for you, but it then helps others around you energetically, or who literally are inspired by the inspiration of what you are doing and how you're kind of moving through these waves of energy and coming to deeply understand the nature and purpose of these gifts and yourself and kind of who you are in the grand cosmic scheme. So I'm going to get one of these little affirmation cards for you, or two of them, I guess, came out. Just as something to kind of keep in mind relative to this and all this information that came out. And we have no limitations. You are a celestial being with unlimited potential. There is much for you to share. So again, confirmation here of a larger purpose that is at play. There's that connection to the celestial realm and as a starseed to your home collective, and that you're almost an ambassador or an emissary for these energies. You're an anchor for these energies. Any limitations that you perceive upon yourself, these are all illusions. This is fear that you are being tasked with kind of transcending, with being very open and very authentic with the truth of your soul, what resonates with you, what you identify with, who you feel yourself to be at a core level. And that by marching to the beat of your own drum and speaking that truth, you are that inspiration to others. You are actively co-creating in this process of ascension that your soul has been endeavoring across multiple lifetimes and through multiple realities. And we also have meditation. Take a moment to connect to source through quiet, reflective meditation. So encouragement right there to really link into those members of your soul tribe that have chosen to remain in spirit to support you and to support others who are physically incarnate in your soul tribe at this time and during this process of kind of ascension and movement through the course of time and existence. They're there to assist you. They're there to help you. You're encouraged to kind of open that dialogue with them. Be open to receiving these energies that come, trusting and knowing that it comes from a divine and benevolent source energy, a source reality that is seeking to kind of improve and to enhance. As much as this idea of kind of growing pains and the discomfort with that, it almost feels like kind of the unfortunate but necessary side effect of what you are endeavoring energetically and what you are accomplishing here on the earth plane. This is a reminder that kind of the genesis of all of this is the furthering of the force of love. To really infuse that, whether you do something directly with this kind of ability, this energy that you hold within you and that you tap into, or whether it's just merely by your existence being that physical anchor here in this time now and in this place, that you are that conduit. You are that conduit for love and kind of shining that out. So again, if you are feeling kind of oppressed by all of this, you're feeling very lonely, you're feeling very out of place or uncertain what to do next, or what kind of the purpose purpose of all this is, you're definitely guided and encouraged to take up a meditative practice, or to turn to that if you already have one established, in order to be able to get that guidance, get those clues, really, ask those questions. What's the purpose of this? What's next? What am I supposed to learn from this? How can I utilize this for my highest good and the highest good of all, and be open to receiving those answers, perhaps even in unconventional ways. This also really ties into the idea, as we saw here with feathers, and white feathers, or feathers in general, can really be these kind of winks and these nods from your collective that you're not alone. Keep walking your path, keep standing in your truth, keep facing those shadows and opening up, and growing into the best version of self. Your wings are there. They're wanting to come forth. As much as you may already feel them, sense them, and use them, there is such a greater expression of that that is wanting to develop, and that will continue to develop through this lifetime, and that you've been working to develop and have expressed in many other ways throughout the course of time. There's a sense of, you've done this before, you've been here before, and it's a process of just trusting that and remembering that, and leaning into an element of excitement for what is to come, for what is to be discovered, and all of the beautiful ways that these gifts and this ability and this connection to kind of something that it extends beyond kind of logical or common understanding of the nature of reality and the nature of existence. That you are that conduit, you are that vessel, you are that antenna for kind of this larger force, and trusting in that, honoring that. It's a very sacred existence that you have, and it is something that has not, it is not in vain, it has not been by accident. There is a larger kind of purpose, a ripple that you are setting off into the collective and into the lives that you touch, again, either directly or kind of indirectly in the space that you're holding. Starting to really appreciate and understand your own value and your worth, and leaning into the mystery of kind of a greater purpose and plan and meaning for all of this than you can conceive, and that extends even beyond this lifetime. So I'm going to get some initials for you, and this can be first, middle, or last name. It can spell something out, just anything that provides you some kind of confirmation for the messages that came through here. Okay, we've got U, B, E, V, Z, M, J, G, W, T, K, I, S, Y, R, X, and H. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Carnelian. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get an idea about what spiritual gifts want to be presented in this reading, talked about. These can be things you're aware of, things that are starting to come online or enhance, and get an idea about what the genesis of these are. Where did these come from? This is from your mother's side of the family, your father's side of the family, some kind of soul ancestry, maybe off-world origins, perhaps. Okay, so we've got 3 of Cups, 6 of Wands, Two of Swords, Three of Wands, the Star, Knight of Cups, Divine Feminine, Magnetic, Receptive Power, Innovation, New Creations, Freedom, Moving On, Letting Go, Goddess of Dreams, Vision, Intuition, Receptivity, Crystal Skull, Wisdom, Clarity, Divine Healing, High Vibrational Energy, and Stargate Heart, Heart Chakra Opening, Unlocking, Generosity. So the gifts that are wanting to come through most strongly is the ability of transmutation. You have the ability to change the energy, the mood of any room that you walk into. You have the ability to shed light on potential that people may have overlooked within themselves and situations. You are a master manifester in a lot of ways in terms of taking an emotional situation or taking a series of circumstances where things didn't necessarily go according to plan, where you're faced with challenges, and you have this optimism about you that despite what you are faced, no matter how great of a foe presents themselves to you, or whatever the challenges are, whatever the circumstances are, however limited you may be in your resources or in others' belief in your capacity to succeed, somehow you have this survival instinct within you where you're able to see that light at the end of the tunnel. You've been able to endure maybe a series of challenges. You might be what is known as the generational curse breaker in your family, where you're almost the next rung in a many-linked chain, where a series of circumstances or a disposition, habits, belief systems have been almost transferred down to you as the one to set everybody free. There's a lot of feminine energy, obviously specifically with divine feminine and this reference to goddess, and this female figure here with the idea of creation, to where it feels like these are things that have been inherited from your matrilineal heritage, so your mother's side of the family, that have almost reappeared in your life, in your reality, in your existence, and you are showing people another way to be. Circumstances that may have embittered others, defeated others, broken others down. You have instead liberated yourself with the idea of the Stargate heart, or you have been liberated through some kind of a spiritual awakening that has taken place. Some deep emotional waters that you have been swimming through, or that you have been confronted with, or that have been kind of given to you based on external circumstances. This may have to do with heartbreak, a series of heartbreaks, some kind of substantial loss, perhaps even the death of a loved one, with this idea of crystal skull wisdom, and with that candle flame, although this candle is maybe seen better days. It's kind of just an ember at this point in time. But as I said that, one of the 3 wicks just went out. So that can be confirmation right there of death being a teacher to you. And this can be a romantic partner, or just somebody that you had a very close kind of a familial bond with, or even a very close friend, and that in some way the ways in which you have processed this grief, in which you've come into an understanding of that, you've tried to make sort of the most of this situation. You've not shied away from this grief, you've not closeted this down. It's something that you've faced, you've fought your way through, you have freed yourself from that, from maybe some kind of heaviness or depression, or again, this cycle of grief that you might have been stuck in, that is kind of this repeating pattern for people in your family, being very crushed by that sense of defeat and loss. In some way, maybe even your gift and your ability of manifestation. You have freed yourself from heartbreaking situations, maybe situations of, in your family line, people staying in relationships that were not serving their highest good because of some kind of financial dependence on that partner. And you've been the one to break that cycle, to break that chain, to create that path, to forge that new way forward that shows others in your lineage that a new way is possible, that there's a different way to do things, that tradition that had been followed does not need to kind of continue on into the future. You've been very victorious in your struggles, maybe fighting through things alone. You might have also been somebody who, based on kind of the dreams that you had, the aspirations that you had, it might not have really been understood by your family, or by kind of people around you. You may have found yourself very much kind of on the outskirts, very alone, almost ostracized or faced with some kind of fear by others for your daring to dream bigger, to want to do better. There may have been people that were very resentful of you for your ambition and your ability to succeed at what you put your mind to. There's a sense here of, there's a lot of watery kind of emotional energy here, and there's this idea of you sense opportunities. Again, a master manifester, where you're able to really feel very acutely the pleasure and the thrill and the delight of having reached these goals, come to these points of victory, slaying these demons, kind of transcending these mountains or these obstacles, reaching these goals, these milestones. You're able to feel that so acutely within you that it magnetizes to you. It becomes your reality. With this receptivity, you call this into you. You're very open in the heart chakra as well, with this Stargate heart and then this kind of illuminated golden heart here and this goddess of dreams. Again, very much able to really feel your dreams into reality. Somebody who doesn't take no for an answer. There's a stubbornness and a precociousness about you that no matter how deep the waters get, no matter how much you're almost moving blindly through the world with adversaries that you can't even anticipate, that you can't see, even just kind of the voices in your head or the voices of this lineage that is discouraging you, maybe people who have directly discouraged you from, kind of moving off the beaten path, forging your own trail, following your own personal truth. That you really have leaned upon that, you've trusted upon that, you're almost being divinely guided as well, which, kind of following a higher calling. You're following these signs and these synchronicities that you're getting, and you're walking with trust. You're walking with blind faith almost in the direction of your dreams, setting that intention and trusting the opportunities that present themselves. And this very much being a gift. Others who may have not answered that call or who had allowed doubt and the opinions of others, kind of these impossible victories or, this deep amount of struggle that would be necessary to transcend obstacles internally or externally in order to kind of free oneself from self-imposed limitations or some kind of constraint about circumstances that one was born into, environments that one was born into, and wanting more, believing more was possible, and achieving that, seeking that, making that at the forefront, making that the guiding light, which is being followed at the expense of all else, keeping that eye on the prize and being able to sense and perceive and pick up and recognize and appreciate with this deep sense of gratitude, kind of the nudges forward that the universe provides. All of this being something that, again, you're the breaker of chains in a lot of ways for this matrilineal line of people who, maybe even didn't have the ability. This can really tie into the energy of kind of females throughout history, and we are very blessed to live in these modern times, and I know that it's not necessarily this way everywhere in the world at this point in time, but large in part there's a great deal of freedom and momentum that is possible, where dreams are within reach. The roles that people are expected to fulfill are changing. There's more possibility. There's the ability to, kind of have these callings, have these urges, and to be able to really accomplish these things very realistically. It's not so black and white. We've almost stepped into this world that is very colorful. Again, wide open possibilities. And so the act of you really harnessing this manifestation capacity within you, this gift within you, to really draw to you that which you are seeking, to raise your vibration. By raising your vibration, you are able to then raise the circumstances. You're able to change the world around you by being that change, first and foremost within yourself, becoming that change you are wanting to see. And that it's this very unique point in history where these kind of doors are open regardless of gender. There's a lot more openness as far as what is possible for people. Dreams are a lot more within reach. There's a lot more, mobility in terms of social classes. There's a lot more fluidity. There is the ability, and there are places that one can go where these opportunities are more readily available. There's access to these things. There's access, with kind of the desire and the drive and the hunger. A way can be made, a way can be shown. And so this feels like something where you are again kind of healing and breaking these limitations that may have kept others in your lineage They might not have, it might not have been just kind of like fear that held people back, but there wasn't the present ability to do these things, that these dreams would have need to have been stifled, silenced. There wasn't the ability to really act upon these things, which could have caused a lot of fear to kind of be, and a sense of disappointment and a lack mentality that was almost transferred down generationally. And that you're confronted either with those voices of doubt, those naysayers directly in your family or in your community, or these are just kind of the ghosts of the past, these voices of the lineage within you. That as much as you are pushing forward, this is a lot of that obstacle that you're facing, kind of that almost intangible sort of that legacy that you've been given of all the people that couldn't act upon these dreams, that couldn't liberate themselves, couldn't break out of their bindings or their bondage, that they were born into a certain circumstance in a particular time and place in the world, and that was it. There was a finite amount of choices, and you now are the one that is kind of acting from the heart, following your heart in a way that others could not before. So it's a profound level of healing as well, that your manifestation ability provides to others directly, people who see you as an example, who see you as that beacon of hope for transcending, for overcoming circumstances. You give a lot of encouragement to people as far as the ability to, make a goal, see only that goal, focus fully on that. Again, leaning in almost with blind faith and the understanding that what you wish to achieve will be received in the time and manner in which it is meant to. And that, people around you who are witnessing your success, it is encouraging them to also break free of their limitations, of conceiving of dreams as too big to really kind of come into fruition, and recognizing kind of the steps that you've taken, the way in which you've kind of turned your circumstances around, or you've risen up despite the obstacles, despite the odds that were stacked against you. And that this is a very powerful gift that you have. It is something that is supported by your lineage as well. The voices of those from your past who were silenced, who were not able to live from their heart, who had to just kind of keep these dreams embedded within them. These people are all rooting for you. You are supported by a very strong lineage here that is encouraging you, that are your cheerleaders. This is this victory parade of all these souls, all these passed on loved ones, people that you know, that you are aware of, and those whose memory has kind of been lost to the sands of time, that are nevertheless with you and supporting you as kind of the next step, the current stage of what all of this added up to, what all of these lives and these loves and these losses, these dreams that were achieved and dreams that could never be, that it all adds up to this moment, to you in this time and place, and your ability to really find what is important to you, recognize these challenges you face and overcome these things, push through those obstacles despite the fact that you might be the only one who recognizes this vision. You might be your only direct physical cheerleader. You might not have a lot of support in other ways in your life for whatever these goals are, but nonetheless you are seeing only that, you are pursuing only that, you are experiencing maybe even kind of an influx of abundance at this point in time. You've thought of a new way of doing, a new way of being, a new way of living, and you're reaping the fruits of that. Kind of that idea of the proofs in the pudding at this point in time. You have really, naysayers may be kind of confronted with the reality of the dreams in which you have really been pursuing, and how that is starting to work out for you. It's changing their mind, whether or not these people would admit it or not. It's causing them to have to really sit and contemplate and think about how they've been living their own life. Kind of the beliefs that they have had, the ways, the patterning that they have followed, the encouragement or the discouragement that they've given you, and kind of what that has yielded. And, the victory that you have, it may be, again, something that even just you on your own are celebrating in a physical sense, but you have all this spiritual support around you, all of these ancestors, this lineage, these people that are just, they're helping you. They're helping you to heal your lineage, to heal these these perceptions of barrier and lack, this perception of, kind of imprisonment or boundaries, to exceed that, to free oneself, to move beyond that, to rewrite the story, to turn the page, to create a new possibility, a new path going forward for others to look upon, for others in the future who are part of your lineage or your legacy, or even others who hear about you or come upon your work and whatever it is you're creating, the living example that you are, and are inspired by that, are encouraged to raise their own vibration, to again only see that goal, believe and feel fully that that goal is within reach, and to pursue that goal, whatever that goal is, whatever that dream is, feeling that no dream is without, outside of one's reach, with the right kind of vision and tenacity. That the universe loves stubbornness and persistence. And so the more that you are investing in that, again, that blind faith that you're being met with these opportunities, these creations, these manifestations. So a powerful gift that you have for creation that is being used in a very beautiful way to not only uplift your own vibration, your own sense of self, your own physical reality, to move you closer to whatever your goals are in that sense. But it's something where you're breaking a lot of this ancestry out of their own kinds of chains. You're being that change that others were not able to be. And it is shifting the direction of your bloodline, of your lineage, even of your soul, and how that will incarnate you. This work that you are doing will then be transferred into other bloodlines that you incarnate into in future lifetimes. So it's very important work, this work of liberation of self, and the writing of a new story, a new script for what is possible, either for people in your family or people in general, based on a set of circumstances. So I'm going to get one of these affirmation cards just to kind of tie in with what came through here in terms of this kind of matrilineal story or narrative, series of circumstances or even archetypes that have kind of surfaced that you are in the process of breaking everyone out of. Okay, and we have inner alchemy. Inner alchemy is achieved when you react to fear with love. So that really summarizes all of this energy very beautifully, this transformation, becoming that change you wish to see in the world, following that vision, even when others can't see that. It's this idea of some kind of a call that you have had, and you have answered that call. And this brings the message of, it's okay if others didn't understand that call. It wasn't a conference call. This is a call for you. This is something that resonates with you. It is something felt on that heart level. And again, this idea of kind of taking circumstances, even taking sort of the negativity of others, the discouragement of others, the questioning of others, or the fear that others are projecting upon you as you're kind of breaking out of the norm of what is established in your lineage, or just kind of marching to the beat of your own drum, kind of carving your own path in the world, taking all that energy of fear that is being directed at you, the misunderstandings, or, just kind of the uncertainty, the leeriness about whatever it is that you are doing, and utilizing that as fuel to continue to motivate you to pursue your dreams. Recognizing that fear that you are confronting, it's the fear of liberation as well. We can definitely become accustomed, even at the soul level, even in terms of a lineage, to, certain belief system and a mindset, and that becomes entrenched. It becomes inherited almost, generation to generation. And while it might feel, kind of uncomfortable, it's a small cage. There is a perception of a cage, whether that is, recognized or not. It is still felt subconsciously. And it's this idea of freedom can be scary. As much as boundaries might feel very disappointing, that is safe, that is predictable, that is known. And the idea of freedom, of the wide open future, of any dream being possible, being within reach. It's this idea of having wings and not having used them in a very long time. So really recognizing that, the fear and the naysayers, that it's all stemming from a place of, this deep yearning and desire for that freedom in their own right, but not necessarily understanding or appreciating their ability to spread their wings and fly in the direction of love, and that this should nevertheless not stop you or deter you. Again, just utilizing this as fuel, continuing to follow, that guidance and these signs, these beacons that only maybe you can perceive, following that heart space, what is opened up within you, what is activated within you, the certainty that you have about the calling or the path or who you are and what your purpose is. Recognizing this very sacred ability, this very sacred position that you hold as maybe kind of the outlier in your family, the black sheep of your family, that you are the liberator of this family line, you are the breaker of chains, you are here to create a new way for the lineage to be, that the story doesn't, just continue on one rung after the other in the same ladder, moving in the same direction. You are forging a new path for others to follow. You are creating that possibility of choice for others. You are taking the story that others have kind of been given or have perpetuated, and you're making that decision that, you want something else for yourself. And that is the noblest act, taking those leaden circumstances, those obstacles, those fears, those narratives, and rendering that into something of value, into something of worth. This may, even with all these books here on this Three of Wands, maybe something where your personal story, some struggles that you've been through, obstacles that you've overcome, maybe your process of this alchemy or something to do even with manifestation might be significant as well as part of your purpose, kind of part of that next stage of this alchemy, to be that example to others, to really help others to kind of find the key to their own liberation, liberating themselves from limiting beliefs and kind of the fear of what others would say or think about the choices that they have made. So very noble work that you are engaged in here, and the encouragement is just to, continue to move forward with that, continue to kind of flow through that process of becoming, of creating something different out of your life than maybe the lives and circumstances and how they played out from others before you. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, and this can be first, middle, or last name, or it can spell something out, just anything that resonates for you. Got L, T, R, D, B, C, P, S, J, X, K, Z, V, U, and M. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Amethyst. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get an idea of what particular gifts or spiritual abilities want to come through in this reading. This can be things that you're aware of or that are starting to activate or are enhancing at this time, and kind of an idea about where these things come from. Is this something from your father's side of the family, your mother's side of the family, or maybe something to do with your soul ancestry, perhaps even some kind of galactic heritage? Okay, so we have 9 of Wands, the Hierophant, Eight of Cups, Three of Cups, Six of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, Emerald Tablet Activation, Cosmic Ordering, Divine Alchemy, Conscious Manifesting, Angels of the 7 chakras, Power, Truth, Connection. Temple of Truth, Throat Chakra, Authenticity, Self-Expression. Archangel Raguel, Justice, Harmony, Solutions. Duality, Many Meanings, Misunderstanding. And Angelic Assistance, Divine Guidance, Loving Support. So there's an energy of balance that is here with these two almost towers or doors of some kind of a gate that are open. With this water, this can talk about emotional balance. Got the scales here and the alignment of the chakras. And also with this idea of community and this kind of triple energy. It feels that you are somebody who is a conduit for angelic energy, for higher frequencies. In some way, you bring this down into kind of the earth reality with this idea of duality and many meanings and misunderstanding. Again, duality, that idea of balance. You are some kind of a bridge. You are some kind of a conduit. You are some kind of a channel for messages from the higher realms that may be kind of cryptic in nature. These can also be ideas that have come through many different people. These can be kind of like spiritual ideas, the Hierophant, kind of these spiritual truths, these spiritual abilities that come through you in a different fashion. You harness this light and you shine it out in a different way than what is typically known. I'm being brought to the idea of the term love and light and sort of the connotations that that often has, which can almost, in its distortion, border on kind of toxic positivity. And kind of this notion that to be spiritual is to always be, positive, to only entertain the highest vibrations within self, to not address shadowy energies, to not entertain that. It can almost be very black and white in terms of the definition of this. And that in some way, the way in which you touch or are touched by these angelic energies, how that is infused in you and through you, you bring a different type of balance to that idea of light and love and light. Love encompassing a full spectrum of colors, and understanding that you cannot have light without shadow, that contrast is necessary, that balance is necessary, some kind of truth that you bring forth, either in what you channel, in how you live your life. Things that might be perceived as, kind of outside of that ordinary sort of context of what it means to be spiritual, how it is to really take in and absorb and emit these angelic frequencies, that in some way that you do that, it's a little bit different. You focus on something else. You may be somebody who is a medium with these, all of these kind of departed spirits and this skull here on the duality and the nature of what you touch upon. That could, some people might construe that as kind of a darker energy. You're focusing on a darker aspect of spirituality, something that people have a lot of fear surrounding, this idea of death. And that is not something that a lot of people choose to focus on. It's a skill, or it's an ability, it's a spiritual gift that a lot of people shun. They're very frightened of that. There's a lot of kind of prohibitions that come along with that. A lot of people who are just, are just kind of misunderstanding. They misunderstand that. It's something that they're not willing to dive into, or again, it's kind of looked at with a sense of aversion. It's sort of the outcast. It's the black sheep of the spiritual family. Large in part is kind of mediumship in a general sense. And it feels like you've got a balance within you where you are both kind of tapping into, these kind of higher realms, these very angelic energies, this very, kind of uplifting energy that pours through you and comes out in your words and in your activities and kind of what you do of a spiritual nature, maybe even something that you do for work. This idea of the emerald tablets and, kind of prophecy that you bring forth, words of inspiration that you bring forth. And then there's this other side to you that is very much in touch with kind of the shadow aspects, kind of the departed. You may even work with sort of the liberation or balancing out of kind of earthbound spirits, or that is something that you're being called to do, where spirits of people that have kind of had trouble with accepting their death fully, that have had trouble coming to terms with maybe some unfinished business that they have, that are kind of struggling to have some kind of message or some kind of truth be revealed. And maybe the people they've reached out to, their loved ones, their family members, are unwilling to hear that or not receptive to that. And so they come to you. They come to you as this open channel, as this conduit, hoping to have that that kind of information brought forth. And it could be something which you're very hesitant to do. the kind of connotations that go along with that, as far as, people taking advantage of the bereaved, or really questioning if what is coming through for you, is this valid, is this true, or could these just be kind of these general or ambiguous kind of cryptic messages that might apply to anyone. So there's a certain amount of kind of resistance to this ability, or something that you kind of keep hidden about that. You keep that very secret and within you. It's something you don't really share, but it's a gift that you have, that is kind of the other side of the coin from this very angelic and very light presence that you have. You occupy this space of duality within you, where you are able to really, again, communicate and commune with these high angelic forces. And also with kind of these, these spirits that might be in a place of kind of longing or hurt or confusion, struggle and anxiety to have their voice heard. These could even be spirits where, they are so old, they have walked this earth plane for so long that there's nobody left necessarily alive in their lineage, and yet they've got this unfinished business. They are unable to kind of transcend and move on. They're kind of circling around the same kind of vicinity or location, or still just circling around with this sense of something needing to be done, something needing to be accomplished, and unable to do that. You may find yourself as a magnet for that, for spirits, for ghosts, people within your family, within your lineage. You're strongly supported in this capacity by your lineage as well. If there's any kind of fear of delving into these darker energies, quote unquote, or kind of the night side of reality, then this really comes with this message that, you are strongly supported. You do have gatekeepers present with you that need to just be kind of invoked. They need to be called upon in the same way that, these angelic forces of protection and this light surrounds you. Kind of this dualistic approach to that when you are dealing with these spirits that come to you, or kind of this longing, this ability, these people that are kind of trapped in their memories, having trouble, difficulties moving on, who may have messages that need to be conveyed to loved ones, or just needing their voice to be heard. Spirits that may have been trapped here on the earth plane for quite some time, or having trouble ascending, or having trouble moving beyond, are in need of assistance. They are reaching out to you for assistance. And it feels that, again, your lineage, your ancestry supports you in this. Call upon them to help you with this. It feels like, in terms of the point of origin of these gifts and ability, there feels like there's an otherness to this. There's something to do with your soul lineage. This doesn't feel that its origin is just from your biological line. There may be people that were psychic, that were sensitives, that were mediums, that could sense spirits and ghosts and energies and everything like that. But there's something about the way that this manifests in you that is something that you have worked on, you've strengthened, you've been this balance, you've been this fulcrum, this point in many different lineages, in many different societies, in many different capacities across the span of time. You have forged relationships with certain angelic presences that carry over into this reality. Those relationships still exist with you at the soul level. You have also forged relationships with certain individuals across your span of time, maybe people that you've helped, maybe even people you've helped kind of transcend out of kind of this loop that they had been in, this kind of despair, this wounding, that you'd help them to, create that balance within themselves, either in life, through your work, or in the course of working with them in the form of spirit, that they now are around you. They are supporting you in this process. This can be some of these gatekeepers that are wanting to help you with this, that are encouraging you to tap into this, open up to these gifts, let this flow, let this come forth, that there's a structure in place. There is kind of a support or a foundation to where, this is a very innate and natural ability within you. This isn't something you can cultivate. This isn't something you can read books to kind of learn about techniques and what other people have done. done, but this feels like something that, again, is very ingrained in your soul. It is something that might have been kind of present with you since you were a child, with the Six of Cups, this sensitivity. It has continued forward with you up to this point in time. It may be something you had tried to deny or suppress. It might, even with the Hierophant, be something that is at odds with kind of traditional religious beliefs that you were raised in, or again, kind of the nature of what your gifts and abilities are, how that manifests, and what you are feeling called to do with that, in terms of things of a ceremonial nature, or, in terms of with a counseling nature, just whatever your mediumship and your channeling, however that is really being, you're being called to kind of direct that in some way it might be kind of different from the typical view of spirituality, the spiritual community, your practices, your methods, what you are drawing upon. It might not fit in so well with kind of other spiritual circles that you run with, kind of the focus that people want to place mostly on, these kind of angelic high energies. And a lot of this work is needing to take place in the shadows to kind of bring these souls, to bring this energy up into the light. You're somebody who's able to transcend kind of both planes seamlessly. You hold both of these energies within you, almost this hybrid or this chimera of both this light and shadow that exists within you. And because of that, you are able to be of a greater assistance. I feel a lot of this assistance that you do, you're helping people in the material plane, but you are a point of assistance for those in the spiritual realm. You're that voice for the voiceless. You are able to communicate these things, a deep empathic relationship, a feeling, a knowing, a sensing of these kind of relationships or emotions that you are meant to, in some way, messages, bring them forth, or communicate some kind of voice of these people, or to, in some way, again, kind of commune and heal and urge them to sort of let their burdens go, that their kind of struggle is over, that now is time to kind of take that next step, to take that kind of ascension and kind of move on to what is next. Again, other spirits that you've helped across multiple lifetimes, they are with you now as well. That transcendence to the light, it doesn't mean that that's the end of the story. It just means kind of a greater ability to, again, hold that light and shadow within self, to be able to kind of move beyond these spheres or worlds with greater ease, that you're helping bring kind of souls down from kind of these depths, and you're helping them to climb that ladder to ascend, so that kind of fluidity of motion can be achieved. And you've done this many times before, across many lifetimes. And you've built bonds of loyalty with spirits or people who are now in the spirit realm that surround you. Many angels, many spirit guides, many spirits around you, a lot of different forces and energies that are around you. So again, this is a gift that your soul has worked on. It almost feels like the idea of that you moonlight in different lineages or in different periods of time, that you incarnate in places where there's a lot of stuck energy. You are drawn to places, maybe even unconsciously, somewhere you're being called to move toward, a particular group of people that you gravitate toward, a particular community, maybe even something to do with your spiritual community in general, where you are meant to be that way shower, that shine that light of truth on kind of an overlooked segment, or something that has been sort of misunderstood about whatever these gifts and abilities are, how you perceive these energies, how you work with these energies, and kind of the function and purpose of these things, that you are the one to kind of bring that balance, that you're a very necessary voice as kind of that counterweight, that in some way your gift and your relationship with this, it is that living example of how to truly embody that essence of love and light, not in terms of toxic positivity, not in terms of, on the other side, kind of this nihilism, this kind of apathy, but straddling both of those spheres, allowing, both for the sense of elation and the sense of overwhelm, the sense of optimism and kind of the sense of doubt that can creep in, honoring these polarities within self, facing that fear and moving toward, one's own personal destiny anyway. So a lot of angelic support that you have in all of this. It feels that your soul also has, in part, originated from these higher angelic realms. your soul family. Part of your soul family is this angelic energy. We've got that 4 times out here with Archangel Raguel, the angels of the chakras, angelic assistance, and also with this kind of portal, these gates. To me, these look like wings, like angel wings that are open. And so again, something almost the idea of you being an earth angel, that you are here to do some kind of healing, but it's in kind of an unconventional way. A lot of people think of earth angels as literally to kind of heal the earth or to heal humanity. It feels that you are here to bring healing to a different part of reality. Kind of people that were once human and now operate in this realm of spirit, that, with everything there is a balance, as above, so below, as within, so without. And it feels that your gifts and abilities are to kind of shift that pendulum where too much focus has been placed almost on physicality, physical reality, what is seen, what is known, what is able to be touched. And it's almost been at the deficit of kind of tending or honoring the departed and the ancestors. And so this might be part of your personal practice, that again, you are that living example of kind of addressing these things, honoring these things, acknowledging these things, these parts of reality and spirituality and the nature of spirit that a lot of people often shy away from or shun or just don't really understand. And so your gift, your ability to commune, it again provides some kind of truth, provides some kind of balance, helping people in a physical sense in the physical world, maybe helping people who are grieving, that you come from a very honest place. You come from a place where, you're definitely being encouraged not to shy away from this, not to shun this, not to fear this. It may be misunderstood, but you can be that living example that helps to kind of break down those barriers of ignorance and misunderstanding. Instead of kind of leaning back in the shadows and staying very secret about this, bring this forth, live in that truth, live in that authenticity, so that people can kind of take down those misconceptions by witnessing and experiencing you as a very light and uplifting presence, a very different face of what they have come to know is kind of the nature of people who deal with these matters or these areas of kind of life or of reality, these certain practices. There can be certain, ancestral practices, like from your specific biological lineage, that really is calling to you in terms of ancestor veneration, in terms of working with the dead, in terms of, honoring kind of that other side of the veil. That this can be something that you might find a lot of resource with. You might find a lot of resonance with, and you're encouraged to continue that, to develop that, to bring that out and to be that living example to others that kind of takes down the myth and the misconception around that. This can also be something where it's a very unique practice that is the result of this kind of hybridization of your soul, this deep angelic soul heritage that you have, almost like literally an angel walking on earth. In human form, where you're taking the best of kind of the lineage that you have been birthed into, the soul lineage that you have, and these higher frequencies that are the origin point of your soul. And you're bringing that into this kind of perfect blend, this perfect recipe, this new formula to provide help to maybe a segment of reality that has been overlooked or that is in need of being brought back into the light, that is in need of recognition, to provide healing in other ways and kind of restoring of the balance of energies in a different form on this planet at this time. So I'm going to get one of these little affirmation cards for you, and this can just be something that kind of sums up this whole idea here, this mediumship, this balancing of the light and shadow that you hold within you. And we have freedom. Follow your heart and nurture your soul with love and freedom to grow. So this ties in very beautifully with this idea of kind of liberation of the earthbound spirit, breaking free of the paradigms, helping to clear up misunderstandings with truth, things that have been really kind of shunned or mocked or shied away from. In some way you are providing, or you're being encouraged to provide clarity and guidance to others of a different way of viewing these things, being that living embodiment of love, love that touches upon and deals with and is involved with kind of these capacities, this balance between the light and shadow, freedom to express and explore and experience both polarities, that it doesn't have to be either or, light or dark, good or bad, positive or negative, but just creating this gray space of both. Taking the mystery out of the otherness, bringing this out into the light, and providing, again, kind of freedom of choice for people to kind of reevaluate and redefine how they are viewing a particular spiritual practice, something to do with mediumship and how you experience that. Freeing people from misconceptions, biases, kind of superstition or taboo almost, that you're bringing these things out into the light. You're creating consciousness within people. You are helping people to ascend, to open their heart and their mind to these ideas. And it's also something that, in this particular lifetime, as you are kind of investing more in this ability, you're honoring this instead of shying away from this, shunning this, fearing this. You're opening yourself up to kind of the genesis of love that this stems from, these spirits that come to you, this connection, this ability you have to commune with the other side, that you are this angelic presence, you are this loving support, you can provide this assistance. They come to you for a reason. It's not to scare you, it's not to torment you. It's because they recognize you as a beacon, as a light that can provide for them some kind of liberation from whatever path they have been walking, perhaps for a long time, from whatever they are trapped in, whatever they are unable to kind of move forward from or to convey. So encouragement to really follow this path, trust in, the angelic support you have, the spiritual support that you have in the form of your own passed on loved ones. And again, spirits that you have worked with or people you worked with that are now in spirit from other lifetimes that are very loyal to you, that continue to be part of your team, continue to kind of surround you and protect you, that this is a very solid and stable kind of gate of support. You have very profound gatekeepers. And so as you're opening up to these gifts and to, letting these things channel and sort of flow through you, understanding that you have, very strong foundation and framework around you. So to not be afraid to be that channel, to be that vessel. It's a gift of yours for a reason. And it's something which, as much as you kind of run from that or try to suppress that, it will continue, that call will continue to happen. It will continue to kind of press itself upon your reality in a variety of ways. And you're being encouraged to just, let go of the fear and step into that place of trust, that there's personal growth to be experienced on the other side of this. And you also have the potential to really help to raise the vibration of some stuck energies that have been here for a while, and to also raise the collective understanding of the nature of such things, the nature of life and death and the reality of existence after corporeal reality ceases. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. This can be first, middle, or last name, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got Q, J, T, P, I, C, R, V, S, H, L, K, and M. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.